Hello guys, my name is Khan, and in today's video we will discuss different events in Excel VBA, and we will try to define what is an event. So before going further, I have this book one Excel workbook that I have. For this, actually, this is an empty workbook with I think 2 sheets. And first, what I will do, I will show you guys that what is an event. Actually, there are two kinds of events in Excel VBA. One event which trigger, again I'm using the word trigger, when you open the workbook or within the workbook when you try to do anything on the sheets. And the other form of the event is the sheet level. So the first event is at the workbook level. So regardless whatever you do in sheet 1 or sheet 2 or any other sheet, it will definitely trigger. So that event is at a workbook level, whereas the other event is at a sheet level. So that event will be specific to some sheet. So if you have defined that event to trigger only on a specific sheet, then it will trigger only at that time, otherwise it will not trigger. Whereas the workbook level events will trigger over on all your sheets, and whenever you open your workbook and whenever you try to do something within sheet, regardless is it sheet 1 or sheet 2 or whatever sheet it is. So before going further, first I will try to create one workbook level event, which is, I want to say, let's go to developer tab, and if I go to Visual Basic, so in the Visual Basic you can see for this book 1 I have sheet 1, sheet 2 and this workbook. So as I want to create a workbook level event, so therefore I will go to workbook. So I'm not inserting any modules. So events, if you have to create some kind of a macro, or which is an event, you suppose if you want to create a event at a workbook level, you have to come to this workbook, double click it, and once I'm in this workbook, instead of journal I will select the workbook, and now it automatically have created this thing. But even within that, it have by default have selected open. So whenever whenever I will open the workbook, I can put some criteria here. So suppose, but you can also select different other events functionality too. We will discuss that thing a bit in a minute. So firstly, we have selected the open, and now suppose if I want to say that whenever I open the workbook, I want some sort of message to be written. So I will say message box. So I will say this, you just open the file. So you can I'm here just using the message box, but maybe you can use things accordingly, according to your need, according to the task you are doing. So I'll say workbook is open. So I have used this message box. So whenever I open this file, this message box will come up. So if I say Control Save, so actually I'm getting an error because I haven't saved it as a macro enabled. So I'll say yes. Save. If I go close it, if I go just for the safety that I have saved it as a macro enabled, I'll go here and I will save it as in the Excel enabled macro because I just used a macro. So now suppose if I close it, and now see I have this file where I have which is macro enabled and on which I have created one event. So let's see if I open this workbook, enable. So you can see when I open this workbook, the first dialog box I got, the workbook is open now. So this is a kind of a workbook level event that I have created. So within that, I can also show you that there are some other events that I can also create. So if I go to Visual Basic again, and again I want to create a workbook level event, so I'll go back to this workbook, and now instead of open, so suppose I can also say sheet activate. So sheet activate means that whenever I go to some other sheet, I want some event to occur according to what I will say. So let's see. So if I go again, I have selected workbook here, and now I will come here and I will select sheet. I will say sheet. So this is the sheet activate. So I will say whenever I come to whenever I select some other sheet, I need some message box. Let's say you just change the sheet, move to just move to new sheet. So let's control save. Now let's say currently I'm here, nothing is happening, but if I go to sheet 2, you can say you just move to new sheet. So it's more like a notification, but again it's not necessary that you always give this message box. You can change the code or you can add things accordingly. So this is another event which is at a workbook level. So regardless in whichever sheet I'm going, I'm getting this this message box. So this message box is not specific to any sheet. So this is overall workbook level event that will occur even if I create a new sheet. Even if that I will get a message box for the new sheet too. So again, it's a workbook level event that I have created. In the same way, I can say another event that I can create, that whatever, even regardless in the sheet I am, if I make any change in the sheet, you can also put some sort of criteria that what will occur if someone make a change within any sheet. So in order to do that, I will go here again, and instead of sheet activate, this time I will say sheet change. And now again I can use this message box as a copy, and now I'll say you just made a change in the sheet, and that change and I will just to make sure that it is happening because of the workbook level, because in this video I will also try to create events at the sheet level. So in order to differentiate that the message box that I'm getting is based on the workbook level event or the sheet level event, so therefore I'm saying workbook level. So I have created this event at a workbook level. So let's say control save. So actually what this event is doing is that whenever you try to change any sheet within the workbook, this message box will pop up. So let's see. And again, this is a workbook level. Again, you can see that all the events that I have created at a workbook level are starting from workbook. So now say, let's see, if I select here, if I try to this cell to 1, change it. So you can say you just made a change in the sheet. It's a workbook level event. The same way, if I delete it, said okay, you made a change. And again, so now I'm getting a workbook level event which is telling me that you have moved to new sheet. But if I make a change, you can say that it's saying you have made a change in the sheet. So regardless in any sheet you are, this workbook level event is triggering and letting you know that you have made some change within that sheet. So but suppose if you want to you want to create event that only triggers to a specific sheet. So suppose I want to go to sheet 2 and I say, so this is the sheet 2 and I want to create an event that only trigger within this sheet. So suppose firstly I will select here worksheet, and within the worksheet I will say, so the selection change is automatically selected. So selection change means that if I go to sheet 2, and if I select D3, so I have selected a new cell. So if that change happen, it will allow me, it will tell me, it will make some changes, or it do some computation, or in the example that I am giving, it will pop up a message box. So I will say message box, inverted commas, then I will write you selected a new cell in sheet 2. So let's see, so I'm in sheet 2, as you can see it here, and if I control S, and now let's see if I change it, you can see that now the message box is occurring, which is saying that you selected a new cell in sheet 2. But now the important thing to note is that this event is a sheet 2 level event. It will not trigger when I will go to any other sheet. So now suppose when I move to the sheet 3, it's telling me that you move to the sheet 3 because it's a workbook level event. But within that sheet, if I select any other cell, it's not triggering anything. It's not giving me any pop-up. Whereas in sheet 2, when I move to sheet 2, it's a workbook level event. Now if I select some cell, it's saying that you selected a new cell because this event is a sheet level event. So in this video, I've tried to show you that you can create two kind of event: workbook level events and the sheet level events. And the very important thing to note here is that what's the main difference between events and the macros is that for the macros, you have to run the macro by yourself. Whereas the event trigger automatically whenever you open the workbook, whenever you move into the sheet, it depends on the change, it will trigger automatically. So before going further, another thing that I would like to do is that within this sheet, I can also create an event which is a change. So if I make a change within, so currently I have this is a selection change, so we can also create an event which can control the change in the sheet. So within that sheet, I want to say that if someone make a change, so see, so this one, it also notify me. So I will create a message box. So this event will occur when someone will try to make a change. So for this example, I'm just using message boxes to tell us that what's happening. So I will say you try to change the value. Change the value within cell. So again, I'm creating this in sheet 2. So it's a sheet 2 level event. It's not a workbook level event. So control save, and now let's say I'm under say sheet 2. So currently I'm getting a message that I've selected some cell in sheet 2, and now if I make some change within cell, so suppose you have 1, so he's saying that you are trying to change the value within cells. So okay, and it's also giving me another message because I have moved to the next cell, because when I enter the value, I moved one cell down, so it's also telling me that you have made a change in the sheet, which is a workbook level. And also have given me a third notification because I have moved to the next cell. So if I go further back to my code, so when I made a change, when I added the value, because in the sheet, I have done it in the sheet 2, it's telling me that you have changed the value. It also told me that you have moved to the new cell in sheet 2. But if I move to the workbook level, so in the workbook level, you can see that I also have a macro which is saying that whenever you make a sheet change, it also get triggered. So that's why that cell, that workbook level macro also get triggered. So again, in this video, we have discussed very basic examples of a few events that you can create in your in your workbook. And there are two kind of events at a workbook level and a sheet level. And again, the last thing is that those events trigger automatically based on the change you do in your workbook, not like macros which you have to run by yourself. So thank you for watching the video.